All right, so Dad, tell me a little bit about your early memories. Now, you were born in 1939, of course, and everybody knows World War II started in 1939. Tell me a little bit about some of the things you remember that time in Germany.
Yeah, well, I was a pre-war product, so
Mm-hmm.
uh, was born just before the March and World War II started in June, I think June or July.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember, I don't know exactly how old I was. I think it was 1942, 3. What I remember is Germany was being bombed mostly from the Americans,
Mm-hmm.
and right there where we lived in the Berghausstraße, there's the railroad that goes by there.
Mm-hmm.
You probably have seen that, and they used to because it was, what I call raised quite a bit high,
Mm-hmm.
so they try always to hit that,
Mm-hmm.
and they never kind of knocked it out. But the airplanes which came over, those attack fighters,
Mm-hmm.
they usually came 50 to 100 feet off the ground. I mean, just really low. And I remember I was way out in the grass field, which was they just cut the grass,
Mm-hmm.
for feed. And one of those planes came by, like buzzing, and I'm standing there waving at it.
You
And
didn't know there was danger.
no, I mean, it's just an airplane, and I could actually, I remember the pilot, the plane was so low where I could see the pilot,
Right.
and he could see me, and I'm standing there waving, and then my mother came running out and grabbed me and spanked the hell out of me. Because I wasn't supposed to be out there,
Right, right.
so, and like I say, that was, I must have been probably around 4 years.
3 or 4 years old, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so that's one of my earliest memories, and then the other memory I had to do with the war too. In one of the bombings in that house, it was at night, and everybody was down in the cellar, and then it got so heavy that when it really got bad,
The bombing.
the bombing, we tried to get out of the house and ran about a kilometer
Mm-hmm.
to the tunnel,
The
the
shelter.
railroad tunnel,
Yeah, yeah.
which was like probably I would say at least half a mile long.
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
So and everybody was in the middle there. You were protected because the whole mountain was over it.
Right, right.
So
That was definitely the safest
and
place.
as we tried to get out of the house, somewhere real nearby a bomb hit, and then the whole roof came sliding down in front of it. Could have killed us all.
Oh, God.
So that I remember quite well. With it, and those are the what they call the clay
Yeah, yeah.
tiles, big
Right,
heavy
right,
ones,
right, right.
so the whole side of the roof came down there.
Uh-huh. Just missed
Yeah.
tragedy.
Well, what I know is also remember, around the house there were 7 bombs and 1 mine that hit. It was the craters there.
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
And 2 houses before, 1 bomb went in and killed the whole family and blew the whole house up. There was nothing left but
Just down the street?
2 houses.
Oh, my God.
And there was nothing left of the house but a crater.
Wow.
That is it. And the whole family got killed there. They were in the cellar.
It's terrible.
So I'm just saying those are,
Yeah, yeah. Now, after the war, of course, times were really hard. I know you guys had at times were really cold and really hungry.
well, not just cold. What we call improvised.
Improvised.
Yeah, well, and I remember too where we lived was basically where there's a lot of farmers and everything around.
Mm-hmm.
And our parents would take us, my parents would take me and also the other kids too, take us out to the fields where they had to put the seed potatoes in at night because we were so little.
Oh, they wouldn't see you.
Yeah, they wouldn't see us, and it was always dark.
Uh-huh.
And they just taught us how to go in there, in the furze
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
and feel around for those little seed potatoes and put them in your
Uh-huh.
like T-shirts and all this.
Right.
So and then you would come back to your parents and give it to them, and so that's how you found sometimes food.
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
Other times my mother would take me, go out, again we're improvising.
Uh-huh.
She worked at a factory.
I think she called it, didn't she call it organizing?
Hamstum.
She organized it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
organizing some food.
She
yeah.
worked at a factory where they made toilet paper.
Mm-hmm.
So she would take a suitcase with toilet paper
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
and then go out and trade that, go to uh, what's it called? Where you mill to the mill, you know, the flour mill or whatever it was. We trade toilet paper for flour from them, or sugar or whatever, you know. So things like that. And that went one time. I don't know where we went. That suitcase, and it was a fairly big suitcase, was totally filled with green beans. She couldn't lift it. You know, a man was because she was kind of dragging it. So a man tried to help him. He couldn't pick it up.
Oh my God!
Oh, it was full. I mean, you take a suitcase like say, you know, 2.5, 3 feet by, say 8 inches by.
Full of green beans?
Filled with green beans, and you can imagine how heavy that is.
Yeah.
You know, but we had green beans.
Oh, that's good.
You know, so same thing with the wood. Since we were the last house on the street, and then the woods started right there across the street, you know, and it was like a dirt road. We would go in the middle of the night with the parents and us down there to steal wood, basically, because it's against the law, you know. You were able to pick up the dry limbs, which, you know, would fall off, you know, all this. But there weren't any because everybody was doing that.
Right.
You know?
They had to.
So we would go at like 11, 12 o'clock at night and saw down a tree.
Oh my gosh.
You know, and then we'd crash, and everybody wait. Did anybody come? Did anybody hear it? You know, and then you know, and it's not just my parents. It's like a whole group.
Right.
We were in groups, and we sewed it apart really quick, and so you carry things home. So everybody had those type of stoves where you cook on, and that's for heat and cooking. You know, so that's how we got
the
that.
wood burning stuff. Yeah.
So we organized those things. I mean, so there are always things like this. You know, so and
as a child after the war, you had stories also about playing in the ruins of the war and how dangerous that must have been.
Well. Yeah, that's another thing. Well,
wasn't there a story about the 2 kids who blew themselves up or something in the neighborhood?
They were. I remember their names were Walker. 2 brothers. It was on the Christmas Eve. They got somehow into a munition storage, which was maybe 2 or 3 kilometers from where we lived. You know, in the middle of the woods, but it was a German munitions depot, you know, and it was fenced in and everything else. But they got in there, and they found what they call those 1,000 and 2,000 pound bombs. You know,
dear.
They sat on top of the bomb, and in the front where the primers or everything out what make the bomb go off once it hits. It looked like spaghettis in different colors, you know. I mean, I'm talking the long spaghettis.
Right.
And basically what they were like primers. So once they basically were ignited, you know, and then the bomb dropped, and it would take so long for those to burn.
Like a fuse, yeah, a fuse, yeah.
So, and they were after them to get them out, because I remember playing with them in the street and everything.
So it was just fun to play with.
Yeah, well, you would light it, some of them would smoke.
Yeah.
The other ones, they would go all over the place, you know. So we like to make rockets out of them. And
so they went and found a live bomb to take the primers out of it.
Yeah, well, one of many of there, you know. And they tried to take those long spaghetti things out of there, and with a hammer and chisel, and sat on the bomb, and the bomb went off.
Oh my God!
There was nothing on the west, and I remember, as little as I was in 45, I think 6 years old. We at home, Christmas, snowing like crazy. I mean, the snow coming sideways, real big, heavy flocks. And about 5:30 or 6 p.m., when it was just about getting dark, that bomb went off. We kind of started the house.
Shook the earth, right?
Well, it's not the earth, but the air. Only like 2-3 kilometers away, so you knew there was one of those big bombs. It was one of the biggest bombs, you know, the 2,000 pounders, which were dropped always. So, and you knew that with all the other bombs around constantly, you know, when the bombings went on. So that's when the walkers got killed.
Oh gosh.
You know, so the reason there was, I don't know why I still remember that even nowadays. You know.
Oh well,
so.
yeah, it's pretty unforgettable, especially when you're a young child. You know, like
so.
that. Well, it certainly, hopefully, learned a lesson through that. That stay away from the bombs. But that's kind of crazy.
Well, stay away. When there's times when we were organizing things where with the toilet paper and all this, we came back, and I'm trying to think where we came from. I'm trying to say Esslingen, but I'm not sure. I think it was a little farther away than that. And on the way back, there was one of those big bomb droppings, you know, and it took basically for us to get through. There's no other way to get. We had to go through Stuttgart, you know, this with all those bombings and stopping off and air raid shelters and all this. Took us 3 days.
3 days
to get home. Yes.
And we're talking about how many kilometers? That's got to be 20 kilometers, maybe, or.
Well, at least 20 or 30 kilometers.
Yeah.
What we had to go.
Right, but 3 days.
Yeah, and just to give you a little idea, we go by railroad, you know, into the Hauptbahnhof.
Right.
From Hauptbahnhof, if the trains, the streetcars running,
right.
we would take a streetcar as far as we'd go. Otherwise, we had to walk back home, and that means from the Hauptbahnhof all the way back up to Rohr, which is
a long ways.
About 6-7 miles.
Yeah.
Miles
yeah,
now.
miles. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So, you know, but just to give you an idea, while we were waiting for a train, you know, to take back, the train we were supposed to take, we missed. That got bombed. And that bomb hit the front of the train, and
where
lots of people got killed.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know where we would have been, but lots
the
of
train
people
that you
got
missed
killed.
got bombed, and many people died on
Right,
it.
not just shot with machine guns, got bomb hit the train.
Yeah.
You know, knocked the train out.
Fortune was smiling on you that day.
Well, yes, I mean, just crazy things like this happening. And I've probably told you many, many times, Stuttgart, a city of 500,000, over 2/3, over 77%,
Right.
was just left in ruins.
Yeah.
So,
Stuttgart was a center of industry of some.
No, there's a different reason I found out much later.
Oh.
Is normally when they say there was air raids, and they had designated air raids, you know. A lot of times what happened is the weather, they couldn't drop the bombs because it was fogged in, so they couldn't see where to drop the bombs. Now, as you fly, and if you're familiar with Stuttgart is call it a huge dell, okay? So those guys in the bombers up, 10, 15,000 feet, however high they were, all they had to do is watch their altimeters. And so
they know what the Dell
so
came
let's
up.
say they were flying at 10,000 or 20,000 feet, and all of a sudden they had to make an additional 2,000 feet or more. They know they were Stuttgart, and all they had to do is release their bombs and didn't miss Stuttgart.
So it was an easy target.
Yes. And Stuttgart was always the alternate target because of those features.
Right.
You
So
know,
they could say at least they went out and did something.
Well,
not
yeah.
necessarily that they.
They didn't want to. Nobody wanted to come back with ordnance.
Right.
It's much more dangerous. So they had to unload it somewhere. So Stuttgart was always the
I didn't
secondary.
know that.
Well, I found that out much later.
Yeah.
Why this happened that way, and why Stuttgart got damaged so much. I mean, there's other cities which got damaged probably more. Take for instance, you probably heard about Dresden.
Yes.
With the firestorm and all this, where there was almost nothing left.
Devastating.
Well, Stuttgart with 2/3 in ruins, you can imagine, and the buildings are not built like here.
Yeah.
It's all brick and mortar.
Yeah. Heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Absolutely heartbreaking. All that history gone.
So.
Yeah. The rebuilding process afterwards. You have some stories also about the interaction with American soldiers. How was that when as a child, knowing that you had lost
I'll
the
give
war,
you an idea.
seeing the
While we were still
conquerors.
in war, in 1945, when after Germany had lost the war, I got the first ice cream. I had no idea what ice cream is. Okay, I got the first ice cream from American GIs.
Oh, yeah.
Truck, one of those 2.5-ton trucks, from the army pulled in the middle of town of Rohr, and somehow everybody knew
what it was.
what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
And everybody came around and they had those big milk cans, you know, not the little ones, but the
big
ones.
metal ones. Yeah.
And they were full with ice cream, and they would give out ice creams. It was my first ice cream. I have no idea what ice cream was.
Wow.
You know.
And look, something with chocolate too. Wasn't
that
that your first experience too with chocolate?
Yeah, well, that was a different story. There was a train which got bombed out on that, what I told you, by our house, you know, and everybody was going there because, and you know, stealing or organizing chocolate, which had happened on there, and they were around. And what we found out later, those was chocolate designed for the German Air Force. What that chocolate it was doing is that you ate the chocolate not for hunger or anything else, but it's to keep you awake. You wouldn't fall asleep.
Right. Chocolate has caffeine in it, and sugar, of course.
No, there was especially designed for that.
It was especially designed for that.
Right, for that purpose. And that happened to be
so
a bombed out train.
Caffeine.
And the whole town came there, and for days nobody slept.
No way.
Well, because now you had the chocolate, everybody. There was no chocolate basically made, you know. Yeah. So now you all have a chocolate. I think that was the first time I had chocolate, you know. But after that, everybody was wide awake.
Oh my goodness!
I mean,
I guess they figured it out, huh? Or not?
Oh, yeah, real quick.
Okay, yeah.
So, but even if they knew beforehand, they didn't care it was chocolate.
Oh, right, they're gonna eat it anyway.
You know,
yeah.
So there was a bunch of crazy stuff like this happened.
Now your mother, at that point, your father actually went to go fight in the war, and he became POW.
Well, but there was another strange thing with him is because he was a gold and silversmith. Somehow, I found out exactly what he did. But he worked in Sindelfingen, and Sindelfingen was, you know, a lot of secrets things for the army going on and all this. So. But I don't know whatever he exactly did.
You never found out?
No.
Okay.
So like everybody else would have been drafted, he was, you know, basically when the war already was basically lost and the Russians were coming toward Germany, you know, that's when he got drafted, handed a rifle, and say, off to Russia. Not even a bullet was given to him.
You're kidding.
No, so, and wherever he, you know, I don't never exactly found out where, but wherever he was heading, he got captured, put into prison, you know, and that he came out alive is
a miracle. Yeah.
Yeah. So that.
Did he ever talk much about it, about his experience there?
No, never.
He never talked about it.
No.
It was just one of those things, just better left unsaid.
Yeah. So no, that was never, to my knowledge, she never said nothing. So. I couldn't tell you, you know.
But so he was with you for part of the war, and then at the end of the war.
Yeah, when I was little, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, he somehow bought himself a brand new motorcycle, which he could never ride because there was no gasoline available.
Oh gosh.
And then toward the, I don't know exactly when, but toward the end of the war, the government, quote unquote, Gestapo or whatever, came and took the motorcycle away. Brand spanking new, never driven because he never got a gasoline for it.
Why did they take it away? For their own purposes? For their own?
No, it's for war effort.
For the war effort.
Yeah, so.
His donation to the war effort.
Yeah, well, involuntary, no difference. It just got confiscated for the war effort.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you, you were too young for the Hitler Youth, weren't you? So you didn't experience that, or did you?
Oh yes,
you did.
I was not in the Hitler Youth because I was too little.
Right.
But I was every day going to kindergarten.
Oh, Do you remember some of the indoctrination, or?
If you know where Berghausstrasse started, you know, and you came back to the house, was the last house, it was basically all the way to the front and across the street, and there was like a daycare center. Okay. And the first thing what we all had to learn, 2, 3, 4 years old, was a picture of Hitler on the wall. And you had to they taught you how to give this Hitler salute as 2, 3, and 4 year olds.
Oh gosh.
So that I remember still too.
Wow.
Yeah.
What else do you remember from that?
Nothing much really.
Yeah, because our family, on that side of the family, they were not very happy with Hitler. And I know your mother had spoken about some hardships about not being a member of the Nazi Party and how that made life hard for her. Do you remember any of that, or I mean, were you too little?
No, not really. It's just too little. Uh, my father never much cared, one way or another. He had this gold and silver,
He was not really
No.
political guy.
No, he was not. The only thing what he cared about is go every Sunday go to the soccer match. It was his thing, So that's rain, shine, whatever. Never would take my mother with me or me. Never. Same thing what I remember. If we went anywhere, went by streetcar. The motor car, which is always the front car, and then you had the other car. He always rode in the motor car. Me and my mother always had to take the car, the trailer car.
You're kidding.
Yeah, because I was always the bastard that always cried, blah, blah, blah. So
he didn't want to be associated with you.
No.
Really?
No, that's
I
how
think
he
I
was.
remember, yeah, Grandma saying something about even on your walks, like on Sunday or Saturdays, people would take walks and he would walk out ahead, away from you guys while she pushed you in the carriage or.
Right.
That's.
Yeah, because baby crying all this, that was not him and him. So he would, like 10, 15, 20 paces in front.
Yeah.
In other words, by himself.
Right. So needless to say, I mean, we know, but the marriage ended in divorce shortly after the war, wasn't it?
Yeah, after he came back, so.
Yeah. Well, that was a whole other story of perhaps suspected infidelity, I do remember.
Well.
As well.
That's the past,
Yeah.
It could be grandmother found somebody, a lover or what have you, so.
I think she said something about she found a condom in a wallet. And she said, we don't use these. Where do you use this?
Yeah.
I think I remember the story. That she told me that. And I think that was the thing that set off the final straw for her.
Oh, yeah.
So, but you and your father obviously, afterwards, didn't have the rosiest of relationships.
There was basically no relationship.
Yeah.
Like I say, after divorce and he moved out, he still was, we lived at that time in Feingen. He lived in Feingen, walking distance 10, 15 minutes away.
Still didn't see him.
Still didn't see me, no. I would invite him, he would make promises, would come always borrow money from me, never pay me back. And, I got even with him. Because I know what he was when he, there's certain Wirtschaft, we call it.
Right.
Where he would associate and hang out with his buddies and drink beer and what have you. And I know he liked to play cards. They didn't play poker, but they played pinochle and stuff like that. And I was not the dummy in playing those cards, and I would play him for money, and I would always win and take money from him. That's how I got my money back.
You had to win it fair and square.
I looked him up all the time. Because that's like it was a way for me to get even.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I mean it was, call it not nice in a way because I used him.
Well, what he did was not nice. He was your father, though. I mean, he
how many
shouldn't be
times
borrowing
I
money from you
invited
that
him
young.
for my birthday and would wait for him. And my mother would say, "Come in, he's not coming. Come in, he's not coming." Oh yes, he promised me he would. Oh yes, and this. Well, next time he showed up, he came and wanted to borrow his money. It came from me, So that's the relationship there was.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no,
I know you went back in Germany in '78 when he died. When was it that he died?
Yes.
Yeah. You went there. How was that? I mean, I don't think you saw him after you moved back. Came to America.
It was not an open casket. It was a sealed casket.
Right.
And it was kind of weird because all the relatives, from Schwäbisch Gmünd and all this, what you're looking up at all this, they would come around, and he married his second wife, this Clara, whatever. And the one from Schwäbisch Gmünd, from my father's side, they all, you're not going to have an affair with her, are you? I mean, it's like, because...
An affair with her?
Yeah, with my father's second wife. I mean, they were,
That is the weirdest thing. Why would they say something like that?
Yes, they're just their nature. I'm sorry, it's the only way I can think.
Strange.
I says, what the heck would I want to do with, my father's wife,
Huh.
Because
It
I
sounds
visited.
positively Oedipal.
Because I visited her, so what? because I went there because for
It's
the
your
funeral.
father. Yeah.
Yeah, it was my father's wife at a funeral and all this, you know. Why wouldn't I go?
Weird. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's a weird bunch.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
my Uncle Paul and all this, oh, they were all same
Uh-huh.
thing,
Uh-huh.
same thought, you know.
Uh-huh.
So
Yes.
that's,
So you must have come away from that then with a bitter taste in your mouth.
oh yeah,
And a sense not really a sense of closure as well
no,
as
I never,
addition-
there was no contact ever from my side, no attempt
Yeah.
ever, you know. I just with a like I call it idiotic attitude like this.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
No.
why would I want to, you know, keep up a relationship even though we were related?
Right.
No, not
Right.
me.
No, after a
Yeah,
comment like that,
yeah,
I don't
so-
blame you. But no,
Not just one. They
Yeah.
all were the same thing. Yeah.
So then your mother was a single mother then for those hard years following the
Yeah.
war. So she worked in a flower shop and she must
Well,
have
see,
worked a lot. What did
there's one other thing what you don't seem to understand is my mother, you know, your grandmother.
uh-huh.
She always had to work and she didn't have a very easy job, number one.
Mm-hmm.
So while I was going to school, grade school, all of this,
Mm-hmm.
she just instructed me, do this, do this, do this. And I was basically called, what they call it.
Latchkey kid?
Yeah, latchkey kid, which I had
Right.
around my neck.
Oh, you literally, yeah,
The reward,
Yeah.
with a string with a key in there, you know.
Uh-huh.
So school was over, you go home, you do this, and you make yourself a sandwich and blah this.
How old was this starting at?
From 6 years old.
6 years
Yeah,
old.
from the first grade on.
Wow.
Because before the first grade, you know,
Uh-huh.
over there was no preschool, number one, you know. Before that, there was just where I went all the time is for the what's it called,
Kindergarten.
kindergarten,
Right.
you know. And so I was always on my own.
Oh my gosh.
So all my life I have been like this. And you
Uh-huh.
ask me why I don't want to go out.
I
and
know
all
why you're
this.
such a hermit now, but
Now you maybe understand.
Well, yeah, but
No, all my life
yeah.
I've been on my own.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Mm-hmm.
So and you got to look at that. She had no other choice but to work.
Right.
You know.
Right.
And when I finally, when was I, 13? Trying to think, was I only 13? They say I had 8th grade of education. I did not have a full 8th grade.
Uh-huh.
Maybe have 7.5 or 7.25
Right.
years. And that was it.
Uh-huh.
Even though they said 8th grade, you know,
Mhm,
it
mhm.
was not. And after I started working, I handed her all the money I made, and it was very little,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because, and I never had a job as such as an apprentice, really.
Mm-hmm.
Never did.
Which is a
Couple of
system
them
that
I
they use
tried.
a lot
No,
in
no,
Germany, but
yeah.
they don't. Not that people
Oh,
aren't familiar with over
no.
here.
But I tried a few of them, and most of them I walked out on because they were abusive,
Mm-hmm.
had me do the dirtiest, filthiest work and everything for peanuts,
Mhm,
you know.
mhm.
So I walked out, and quite a few of them, you know,
mhm.
with other words, quit.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
not something you're supposed to do in Germany. And you know, if a vulgar guy would say, shove it up your ass. And that's exactly what I did without talking or telling them, you know. I wasn't going for any of this. So I never basically had what I call a profession, you know. So when I came here, all the business that's the chance I took.
Yeah.
You
Is
know.
that what part of the reason why you left Germany is that you were having a hard time with these apprenticeships?
No, that's a different reason. The reason was when I finally found a job where I made quite a bit good money, was setting pins as a pin boy
Oh, right, at the
At
bowling
7th
alley.
at 7th Army Headquarters,
Right.
which happened to be in Feigen,
Right.
you know. And there, some kids, one guy, I know his name was Johnny, and his father was a colonel, you know. He spoke broken German, and, you know, I couldn't speak English, so we kind of, you know, made out, hung together. And he always told me about all the opportunity in America, you know, you could have, and tell me about this and about it. That's what eventually made my decision. And I talked it over with my mother, you know, your grandma, and she is looked at the same way. And she had a friend over here, Claire Streulein,
Mm-hmm.
used to be an opera singer of all things. You know, I don't know how they ever met
Hooked up.
together.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But and she eventually would sponsor us, but it took us like two years or 2.5 years before we were able to get our what is it called, permit? Was it
Yeah.
for immigration
Right,
and all
right,
this?
right.
You know, because we had to have the sponsor and it.
Right, they have to
And
process the
that's how-
paperwork, you have to pay,
And
you have to,
yeah, because she didn't have any future, so she was ready to start something new,
right,
where there was an opportunity, quote unquote. You know,
yeah.
but that's well, you know, from there on more.
What year was that you came over? 1957?
No.
Was it?
No, 59. We left in
59.
1958 and got here in 1959. Well, we left in December.
Right.
You
right.
know, 58.
You say, yeah, you brought the new
Yeah.
new year in a
And
new
so
world.
we got here. I think it was the 10th of January.
Uh-huh. How was that trip? I bet it was miserable.
It was the pits. Our ship was MS Berlin. I still remember that.
Uh-huh.
And first ship I actually saw, I thought it was quite big, but when you would have seen the waves
Mm-hmm.
and the storm we came through, you know,
Makes it feel small.
and the Atlantic, you know, I was young and foolish. I was out on deck when those bodies supposed to be out, you know.
Uh-huh.
I took pictures, and I think I've shown you some
Yes,
of those pictures.
I have. It looks,
You know,
it looks
when the
miserable.
wave is higher than your boat, you know, the smokestacks in your boat, you know, and you get tossed around like a little sardine in a can, you know, then you understand, and, you know, to give you a little description how that is, in the ships at that time, you have the long hallways, you know, where all the cabins are, left, right, left, right. Everybody puked so much, they put, they gave you those puke
Buckets,
bags.
yeah.
No.
Oh, bags.
The bags, you know, with the plastic, I'm not sure if it was plastic or
What?
wax paper or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
They would put them out the front door, you know, of the cabin.
Right, right.
And as the ship waved and rolled, all this, you saw them sliding
Oh.
up and down, not leaking. No, the funny thing is not
Right,
leaking, but they're sliding up and down, you know. So, you know, it's. And then once we got here and we stayed up, we came to Quebec, which was middle of the winter, and it was cold.
Uh-huh.
You know, so the same thing with the coming across the Atlantic trip, you know. It was cold and windy and waves and what have you. And we stayed there, I think it was 2 days. And we had made arrangements before that we would fly from New York, where we, you know, finally came in with the boat and debarked there. And we did fly from New York to San Francisco. Never been on an airplane before, not
Oh,
me
boy.
or Grandma, and it went quite well.
Better
you
than
know.
the boat trip.
Oh, a lot better, you know. I mean, so
And a lot quicker.
yeah, so that's basically. And then I was here. You know that story too.
Oh, I'd like
I
to hear it
was
again.
here.
I'd love
I
to hear
was here 2 months. January, February, March. March, I got my draft papers.
Ah,
I got the draft notice.
it. All right, Korea.
Well, I didn't know I would have, you know, here's going to be drafted, you know, and I said, when you drafted at that time, you had to do 2 years.
I don't understand. You weren't a citizen. How can they draft you?
I
They
just
didn't-
don't. No. In order to get your green card,
Oh.
you know, and get okay to immigrate, I had to sign papers
That you'd be eligible.
that I'm eligible for the draft.
Aha. And who do they go to first?
Well, because at the time, you know, 1959, I'm 20 years old. I'm a prime candidate.
Perfect.
You know.
Uh-huh.
So 2 months here, I just had found a job at Mills Memorial Hospital, washing pots and pans for 50 cents an hour.
Oh my God.
You know. So and I thought I was doing great because it was food included. So at least there was something. Here I got my draft notice. Now I, you know, couldn't speak English very well, but I got my point across. I went down, found out where do I go to find out more. So I went down to the, what is called draft board. And at that time, pretty much all the who was drafted, quote unquote, there was a need in Korea,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And I says, Korea, I don't want to go Korea. Korea is colder than Germany, you know. So why? And then I kind of found out what can I do. This as well. There's one other thing you can do. You can join, and then when you join, you do 3 years, and you can, you know, sign up for Europe.
Mm-hmm.
I says, Europe is a lot better than Korea.
Right.
So guess what I did?
Uh-huh.
I joined.
Yeah, because it could have been 3 years
Yeah.
in Korea. You don't know,
Yeah.
right? When you're drafted. I
No,
mean,
when you're drafted, it's only 2 years.
Oh, it is. Oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay,
but
okay.
still only
Oh,
2
an
years.
extra year in Europe? Yeah, I would do the same.
Yeah. So well, that's why I said. I mean, you know, and this, I thought, well, I found out that after I'm done serving, I can become a citizen. You know, so I found out a lot of other benefits because I would
Right.
I would be able to learn English.
Yeah, and they
You
train
know.
you to do something, of course,
Yeah,
as well.
so-
Yeah.
So so I joined on June 15th, 1959.
Oh my God.
I joined the Army. First stop, Fort Worth,
Uh-huh.
basic training.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Now, when I signed up for the missiles
Right.
because Silicon Valley, you know, I found out all of that. I figured
It's
well,
a valuable.
fits right in, you know, with what I was doing. So I said, I wanted to fight, you know, I thought ahead and wanted to see what I can do after I come out.
Right.
Silicon Valley, missiles, kind of worked, seemed to hand in hand. I
Yeah.
should be able to get a good job, you know.
Mm-hmm.
No, it didn't quite work that way. While, no, after basic training, 4 doors, I get shipped to Fort Leonard. You know where Fort Leonard is?
Kentucky? No. I'm thinking of-
Somewhere there.
Yeah.
And it is winter. And guess what? It's as cold as in Korea. No, at the time, excuse me, then all of a sudden here, no, wait a minute, it's wrong. I jumped ahead. I did get sent to a missile base.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the only thing I remember is Snake River, and I think it's in Washington.
Washington. Okay. State
Yeah.
Washington? Yeah.
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 Snake River, that's about the only thing I
Uh-huh.
remember. Otherwise, you wouldn't find it on a map.
Uh-huh.
Everything was underground, okay?
Ah.
Now, while I'm there, I haven't signed anything really at all. FBI shows up.
My God.
3 days, 3 nights. I get interrogated.
Oh
What
my
am I
God.
doing here? What I'm doing? I said, I signed up for this, you know, so they sent me here, blah, blah. You know, so they don't know what to do with me. So guess what? They send me back to Fort Worth.
Mm-hmm.
No duty assigned. Just show up in the morning,
Mm-hmm.
you know, for reveille, and show up at night. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Klaus here. Yes, Klaus there. You know.
In the meantime, relax.
So 5 weeks,
Uh-huh.
nothing to do. You know, yeah, I could get off base and all this, but 5 in the morning, 5 at night.
Right.
Klaus here. You know, yes.
Yeah.
So find out. You know, now they come back and says, that I have 2 choices. One, I could take a discharge, or I can pick another MOS, which,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Because the problem was is that your recent German citizenship, you're still a German citizen
Yeah,
at
I'm
that
st-
point. So that's
I
why
still have
that's
my
top
German
secret
passport,
stuff.
you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
That's,
the
that was
top
the whole
secret-
problem and why you were interrogated. You know?
I'm on the top secret missile base.
Uh-huh.
I'm not even supposed to exist. You
Right.
know? So now they give me this choice, you know. And I says, well, if I take a discharge, well, then I'm eligible for the draft again. I says, you mean I got to go through basic training? Yeah. I says, no. So now they give me a choice. What do you want to do next? You can't be in the missiles.
Right.
And so I again start thinking, and I says, okay, how about a heavy equipment operator?
Uh-huh.
You know, bulldozers, this thing. So I said, that's a good job. I can get afterwards, make good money in the construction. All right. Off to Fort Leonard, middle of the winter, learning how to operate a bulldozer and a grader and a backhoe and, you know, all this nice equipment.
Mm-hmm.
Stupid me, not knowing that if a war would have broke out, I would have been there on that equipment trying to repair roads, runways, what have you. Prime suspect to being shot at and killed. You know, life expectancy 10 minutes in a war. Yeah, so didn't know that. I just looking at a job.
Yeah, right.
But anyway, so now, since I signed up for Europe, finally got me the training over, on the boat over to Europe. Where to?
First stop?
Don't know.
You don't know?
No, I didn't know.
Oh.
So I actually wound up in Heilbronn.
Now,
30
kilometers away from Stuttgart.
From Stuttgart.
Yeah.
Speak that dialect. Still have my German passport with
But
me.
in uniform.
In uniform.
In American uniform.
Yes. So now I'm there, happy as a lark, heavy equipment operator. But what I found out, my passport was still recognized by the MP, which were at the gate. So all I had to do is to do the timing right. You come home like 5 in the morning, show them your German passport and say KP, and they wave you right through. While everybody else was restricted to barracks, I was out having a great time at the
How did you figure this out? Just by accident, or
kind of through the grapevine, which other people did the same thing. Which were in my condition, because I'm not an American citizen.
Right.
Now the other thing, what I forgot to tell you, the one and the missile base. How I got even there, I have no idea, because all my folders in letters about 2 inches high, bright red, stamped in front, said alien.
Alien.
So
somebody dropped the ball on that one.
Yeah, well, that's why they came out. Now I'm in Heilbronn now. I find out that all my old friends. Now I have found out why they kept me so long at Fort Ord unassigned. They checked out every acquaintance, school friend, you name it, in Germany. If
background searching. Yeah.
Background searching if I was a spy or whatever you wanted, because I'm on the missile base. Right. I could have caused a lot of problems. So
you find this out now.
I found that out. I'm back in Germany.
Yeah.
And they says, why did they come around? And it's not they stop anywhere, but they know what FBI is and Secret Service and all that.
Right.
That's what came around.
Serious government business.
Investigate all of them. They could put their fingers on. So kind of, when you look back, kind of funny. And then what makes it even more ironic is, while I'm the heavy equipment operator, all of a sudden there's a change. I can no longer be in the combat engineers. That's why I was in. Well, why? Because the combat engineer got atomic weapons grade. So now
you're back to being an alien in a top secret.
Yeah, well, now it goes back to, you have the choice again. You want to get a discharge, or you want to do something else?
You're kidding.
No, I'm not kidding. That's what really happened to me.
Of course not.
So now I got asked, I says, okay, what other choices is there where I don't have to move, for instance, away from Heilbronn? As it happens to be, on the same base I am in Heilbronn, there is an outfit, basically was called the Scouts.
Right.
Now you can become a Scout. Well, the Scouts, they were like, how many guys were there? 4, 12, 15 or 16, 18, I think 18 guys. 4 Jeeps, 3 guys to Jeep, a driver, a radio operator, and a sergeant. So 4 Jeeps, 12 guys, plus then you had some other lieutenants and all this, so I became a Scout. Same base. No longer combat engineer, no longer operating heavy equipment. The ironic thing is that as a Scout now, I could go on the radio, call in an artillery strike with atomic weapons. So now, with all this crap before,
you still had an opportunity to really mess
Now
somebody up if you were.
the real damage, because not just artillery strikes.
Not just stealing information, not just,
They had, at that time, they had those guns, artillery, with atomic warheads.
Yes.
So
that's our government. I work for us, so.
I know, but I'm just saying. So now, after all of this crap, when it came time for discharge, and my 3 years are up, they got the guts if I wanted to re-enlist. I says, you guys must be kidding me. You're joking, And I says, no. So now I got shipped back to the United States, Fort Hamilton, right outside of New York. Everybody got discharged. They're done. Did I get discharged? Oh, no.
Uh-oh.
Why not?
The 5 weeks.
That was 5.
Was that it?
Yes.
Oh, God.
5 weeks early,
Uh-huh.
And not just me. There's a couple other Germans. Irvin Trautwein was a friend of mine. German, didn't get discharged. And a couple other ones, because we were still technically aliens. Okay, not American citizen. But I turned right around, went down to the courthouse where they were swearing in of American citizen. Didn't take a test, nothing. Went to the judge and I says, I am sitting here waiting for discharge. I want to become an American citizen. The next day, come on in, raise your hand. You now an American citizen.
Oh, that's how it happened.
Yeah, just like that. So I was a citizen while I'm still in the army.
Right.
And actually, basically was only 3 years here. I'm not here in Germany. Basically it was my hometown. People don't understand or won't believe what has happened to me.
Yeah.
But I forgot about this whole thing. Is while I'm over there, I'm always going out to the Wirtschaft, and there was one particular, the Postmichel, what's called?
Postmichel?
Postmichel, yeah. Was an upper, I call one of the finer establishments, Wirtschaft, with excellent food, beer and wine, like a Wirtschaft, but just, white tablecloths and all this, which normally you don't find,
Yeah.
And I kind of like to frequent that, and that's why I spotted your mother behind the theke that is, pumping the beer with her red.
The beer maiden.
Yeah, and she apparently saw me and kind of liked me, and I was always after other girls, not her, so. That kind of, she didn't have the guts to, ask me, that's because girls don't do that,
Right.
So I don't know how it exactly happened, but we did kind of match up and kind of,
So you had been going there for a while, and you knew of her, and she knew of you, and you had other dates there, but so finally you guys...
Well, there were a couple other waitresses which I was after, all that, so, but not her in particular, so... Because she wasn't a waitress, so she wouldn't come to the table.
You have the chance to interact as much. Okay.
Well, she would, but with the waitresses, because they got all the beverages and everything from her.
Right.
The customer normally didn't come up like they do here to the bar as such. So no, that works different over there. But anyway, while I was over there, and I met her, and we went out a few times and kind of liked each other, so basically fell in love, you should say. Went to the office and said, I'm going to get married. I'm going to marry a German girl. And they were all, everybody, the Americans as such, GIs, they were all advised not to marry German girls and blah, blah, blah. I said, wait a minute, I am, when I showed them my passport, I am German.
Right.
She is from here. I'm born here.
Right.
And you cannot stop me. You have to that I will get married, otherwise I will get married anyway. So they approved, and basically we got married. When did I get married? It's in December. I'm trying to Christmas.
It was Christmas?
Yes.
On Christmas?
Yes.
Christmas Day?
Christmas Day.
Is it something special, or was it just happened to be that
No.
first thing you could get
People
in?
normally don't get married there,
Mhm.
and we were kind of caught in a rush of whatever you want to say, you know. So we got married on Christmas Day, you know.
Did you? What did your families think of it? Such a quick. Did
Well,
your
my family,
mother know?
my mother was
Because
here.
she's back in America this whole
Yeah.
time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, while you're.
I did let her know, you know, so she
uh-huh.
wasn't happy about it, but she knew that I was old enough, you know.
Right.
I was over 21. There's nothing she could do.
Right,
You
right.
know, so even though she wasn't happy about it, you
Mhm,
know,
mhm.
so she more or less gave me her blessings. You know, so
It's a funny course of events that you left Germany, come back and have to join the army and go back to Germany, the same area, and then meet your future.
it was a coincidence. I mean, if they would have sent me to France, or I'm just they could have sent me anywhere.
Anywhere, yeah.
You know, but to send me 30 kilometers from my hometown, that and Heilbronn is Swabian.
Yeah.
So the Swabian dialect and everything, you know, that was,
Right.
you know, and I think, I don't know who it was I talked to in the army. She says, well, that was the closest we could get you to Stuttgart.
That was the oh well, darn. Try
Well,
better next time.
No, they could have.
I know.
It could have really happened that they would have gotten me into 7th Army headquarters in Feigen.
Oh, that would have been
it.
hilarious.
Yeah, I'm just saying,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah, yeah.
so that possibility existed, you know.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
So now you had to come back to America, and what of your wife, your newlywed wife?
Oh, that's another story. I mean, the saga goes on. I come back with the understanding she would follow later, because I think at the time I knew that I wouldn't be discharged right away, because I was basically still an alien, and they kept everybody until the last day.
Right.
So, with other words, everybody else got discharged up to 30 days before their date was up. I knew I wouldn't, so I would have been sitting somewhere waiting for my discharge, which
You didn't want to do that to her.
Huh?
Bring her to a new country, then have her.
Right. Well, me.
Right. Right.
Yeah, because we were going to keep her in a hotel and whatever.
All
you
by
know.
herself. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
So
yeah.
no, so it was agreed, and I don't exactly. What was it? You know, you come in July or whatever, but you come later. You know, and it was arranged with a plane ticket and blah blah blah. To make a long story short, she couldn't come because they discovered that she had tuberculosis, TB.
Oh boy.
I understand that because the government, you know,
They have restrictions
they
on
won't
diseases.
let you in.
They used to have restrictions on diseases, at least back then.
Yeah, so they won't let you in. You know.
Yeah.
So now I had the choice. Well, actually, I stayed here because she was doing okay. She got committed to a sanitarium. You know, all this. She was, you know, taken good care of. Blah blah. But I just sat here and figured, what the heck am I doing? I'm young, married. You know, she's over there, can't come here. I'm here. I can go over there. So
Back to Germany.
back to Germany. You know, and
Oh my God.
where do I stay? With the Heinrichs,
Her parents.
her parents.
Uh-huh.
You
They
know.
welcomed you into their home.
Yes, they
Uh-huh.
did. Even though, you know, they had 2 sons of their own, which Günther was born in 39, and Karl, I think, was born in 37. You know.
And Ingrid, of course, was there.
And Ingrid too. Yes, I
She was
forgot
young,
about.
yeah, of course.
She was 11, 12, 13,
Yeah,
somewhere in that,
she's-
you know.
Yeah, the youngest,
Yeah.
much younger than
Yeah,
all
right.
the rest of the siblings.
So, I mean, here you have husband, wife, and 3 kids, you know. And they had
And
2
son-in-law.
bedrooms,
Yes.
you know, 2 bedrooms
Oh, boy.
only. Their sons and daughter, 1 bedroom.
Uh-huh.
There, 1 bedroom.
The front-
couch,
The couch, yeah.
living room. So
How did you guys get along?
we got along fine, you know.
Uh-huh.
And as the devil will, I found a job right away.
You found a job.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Paul Seitz KG.
What's that?
heavy equipment operator.
Oh, you're kidding? So the experience did pay off.
Oh,
a little
yeah.
bit. Okay. So
I mean, when
you
I
had enough-
walked, when I walked in there, went through an interview in the German dialect, quote unquote, and they walked me around the yard, and they pointed this different machine. Can you operate this? Yeah, can you operate this? They says, how can you operate all those machines? This is why I had training in the American Army, and that's all in the native language dialect.
Of course.
You know. So now they found out I'm an American citizen, quote unquote.
You speak English now a little bit, and
No, I spoke quite well English.
oh, you did at that point.
Well, I learned in the Army fast.
Yeah.
You know, real fast.
Yeah.
Because I did a lot of KP because I didn't understand.
Oh, okay. So you made the effort.
Oh, I made more than an effort.
Double time.
Yeah. So they were impressed and they hired me. When can you start? You know, how about next week? How about tomorrow? You know, so and at a very good, you know, rate. You know, and they were involved in Weiblingen mainly. Not only located in Weiblingen with their yard and everything with all the equipment, but the greater Weiblingen area and outlining other towns and so on. They were doing road construction, sidewalks, all like that, you know, for the city and state, you know. And that's what I did, you know, while your mother was in the sanitarium, in the Überruhe, was it called, okay? And I would visit her. I'm not sure if it was every weekend, but on the weekends, definitely once or twice at least a month, you know. So I would jump on the train and go up there, you know, be with her because she was not restricted, infectious, as such, but she couldn't leave, you know. So, and stayed over there for a little over a year.
Wow.
Before she got clearance to come back.
A year.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And working in the job the entire time. Yeah.
Got discharged in 62, 63, went over there to 64, came back here. Oh, and the only thing they told us because of her condition to delay as long as possible to having any kids.
Right.
So that's one of the reasons you came kind of late. I was almost 30.
Yeah, she was 28, I believe,
Yeah,
something like that. Now it's old for back in the day.
Yeah. So, well, that was, you know, trying to effort there because we didn't want anything to happen to her. So that's, you know, that's why you guys came along kind of late.
Better late than never, right? So now you bring back your not so new wife now, but this is the first time that she met your mother. Your mother never got a chance to go over and visit during all this time. So how did that go?
That actually went quite well. They, you know, seemed to hit it off okay.
Yeah, because over there, there was quite a nice community that you guys found of German people from the same area, or more or less, at least from Germany, if not from the same region.
Yeah.
There was Tante Ursula and who else? There were a bunch of people that welcomed her.
Well, Ursula, I think it was friend with Grandma. Quite early. I think it was right after I joined the army or something. That said, so they got to one of the German clubs or something together, and I met her quite early too. And you know, Ursula became your godmother.
My godmother,
so, you know, because we were friends, you know. So,
right. So how did your new wife, my mother, take to America at first?
Well, everything was kind of new, but I think she did quite well because she got like a moped to get around because she couldn't drive. I had no license or anything like this. So she got a moped, got in an accident, you know, so nothing serious, you know, but, and eventually I taught her how to drive, got her cars, a lot of stupid things.
Stupid things?
Yeah. At one time she was, I don't know, have you ever seen pictures of the Mercedes 190 SL I had
Was that the one with the sparkly paint?
with a sparkly
Yes,
red
it was like
paint.
it was boat paint, wasn't it, or something like that?
Well, something
Or-
like this,
It's
yeah.
something you don't paint a car. or
Metal
whatever it was.
flake.
I do
It's
remember
called-
that.
It's
Metal
called
flake.
Metal Flake.
I remember that
Yeah,
car.
bright red.
I remember the
And
kids
it would
bouncing in the
glimmer.
back seat with no seatbelts on. I
Well,
remember
they didn't
it.
have any.
I know they didn't. They didn't, and we were
Yeah.
going down the freeway and flying all over the back of that
Yeah,
car.
yeah.
I remember.
So, and yeah, she was quite proud with this, with her red hair,
Oh yeah. Well.
with the top down, hair blown. Cars would not pay attention where they going anymore. They were it's turning like this. I'm not kidding you, on the
Really?
freeway. Oh yeah.
yeah.
You know.
So your early life was spent in the San Francisco Bay Area. You moved around like in the peninsula.
Well, when we came over, the sponsor, the Claire Storyline, was a housekeeper in Hillsborough.
Mm-hmm.
Found my mother a job as housekeeper in Hillsborough.
Mm-hmm.
Originally, well, the job she had a cottage where she would live in,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where I would stay, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But before I got drafted,
Mm-hmm.
it was a Dr. Persyke.
Mm-hmm.
What was the address? 700. I can walk you to it in Hillsborough, but you know, Hillsborough is in the upper, you know, the rich
Yes.
people live
Yes.
there.
Very affluent neighborhood.
Very, very affluent.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so, but that's where he came, is to Hillsborough.
Mm-hmm.
Then after Hillsborough, when your mother came first with me, I rented an old house in Burlingame.
Mm-hmm.
You've seen the pictures of that probably, you know, where
Maybe.
with 3 or 4 garages in the back and a painted porch where your mother is standing in front of
Oh,
her.
okay.
Yeah,
I
you've
think-
seen the
yeah.
pictures.
Oh, that was a rental?
Yeah, we rented a house, and
Mm-hmm.
for a simple reason, it was like a 3 or 4 bedroom house with 4 garages in the back,
Mm-hmm.
because it was old, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But everything worked. There was nothing fancy about it, you know. So,
Yeah.
and it was affordable.
So you, after that, I guess the rest of the, you had us and me in '68, my sister in '71, and what were some of your recollections of that time of, when we were young and
Oh
you
well.
know, like in Foster City, and I remember, Foster City and
Well, yeah. You were born at York,
yes.
1712 York, which was a 2-bedroom, 1-bath house. Also an old house. However, that was the first house, I bought, or me and your mother bought together. And I remember it was $19,000, $500 down, and we could afford it. That's no.
Yeah,
So that was, after that we moved into Dewey, which was a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house.
I remember Dewey. Well, I don't remember York, but I do remember Dewey.
Yeah. And you probably remember the paint on it, which was yellow, white, and black trim.
Yeah.
I painted all of that. And so that was a nice little house. After that came Tampa Court.
Oh yeah, in Foster City.
Right.
Yeah.
And after Tampa Court came Elm Court.
Elm Court. Yeah, where
Yeah.
we lived the longest. I think for the longest
Yeah.
stretch. I think we were there
Right.
for 7-8 years.
Right.
So it was a lot of moving around still. So even
Well,
though,
yeah, but
then of
see,
course at
the-
Elm Court there was a divorce, which yes, we, of course, the separate houses, and then Mom eventually goes back to Germany.
Well,
and-
that's down to, let's be very honest, and I don't know what your mother told you. She had to have her money, and by California law, half of everything I had was
Right.
hers.
Right.
So the only thing was I originally was able to save out of those, it was my business,
Mm-hmm.
which was the body
A body shop.
body repair shop.
Mhm,
Yeah.
mhm.
So everybody thinks I'm pissed off. It's so long ago, like I say.
Mm-hmm.
The divorce got final in '82, so basically was started in '81.
Yeah.
So I've been much longer divorced,
Mm-hmm. Then you've been married.
and to get back to the whole thing all by myself again.
Mm-hmm.
So all my life, I'm always about 75 years now,
Mm-hmm.
from 2-3 years old. by myself. So you wonder why I'm a hermit, why I don't want to go out? Does it explain enough to you? Am I crazy? I don't think so. And basically, I don't know anything else. Think about it, you know. Sometimes I'm still pissed off the way things...
Even to this day?
Even to this day, it's look, Michelle, it never gets out of you, you know. I'm not trying to be pissed off, but sometimes emotions still come through.
Right.
You know, what could have been.
What exactly? Yeah, the coulda, woulda, shouldas. That
Yeah,
but
sure.
yeah, those are things you can't
No,
control.
it's nothing that you can dwell on. I know that, but I'm just saying and pointing it out. That's the reason to get married. You know, my reason to get married. Otherwise, you could have been just living together. You know what people do nowadays. Which,
hook up, have baby mamas, and
yeah. I'm just saying. You know, so.
Yeah.
But that wasn't for me. No, I wanted a family because my situation, the way I got raised.
Right. You didn't want that for you.
I didn't want that.
Yeah.
You know, and when I say I've been a loner since as far back as I can remember, 2 years old, up till now. You know, in between there were more or less haphazard tries, you know, to not be that way, but I was always been a loner my whole life, unfortunately, you know.
Yeah.
So why am I happy alone? Because I don't know anything different, you know. And the one thing which I realize is you with your life, I basically, and I, again, nothing against you or Christine, I do not basically fit in, nor would I conform. I'm not, you would have, say, certain expectations of me when you say, oh, come live with me. Like Christine says, that just like this, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
It would never work. I tried it with her how many times.
Yeah.
Never worked, you know, so. And I probably shock you when I say that. If I would have no other choice, I would blow my brains out first. And I'm telling you the honest truth. That made me sound sad, but...
That's how independent you are.
Yes. So...
I can respect that. Not that...
I'm just trying to tell you, you know, and again, I'm not religious, but I will say, pray to God. I hope it never happens. But I watched, I would say I took care of Grandma too long.
You know how...
For 4 years.
Right.
I went right over here, 3 blocks or 4 blocks away from here.
And she had
And
Alzheimer's
you are no longer a person.
Yeah.
You are a commodity which costs or brings in $6,000 a month.
Yeah.
I got a bill for Grandpa from the state trying to collect, which I know they all do, for $280,000. You know. And that was after they take away all the money she made, okay, and left her $30 a month for personals. So you take $280,000, add to it what she made, which was like $1,400 or $1,500 a month, which they took away for all this time. You add this together, and it's over $6,000 a month, which I call it, is it an existence? Yeah, you exist, but nobody gives a shit.
You did, though. You cared that
I
she was
did.
there.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about a facility,
right.
you know.
Well,
nobody gives a shit. You just, you know, a number, you shoveled in and out, and impersonal, careless people. You know. Now, that's the reason why I say, had I not experienced that, I probably would think differently about what I just said to you, you know. But that's not something I want any of you go through, number one. Number two, I don't want to go through.
Right.
Now, I may wind up with Alzheimer's, and doesn't matter, doesn't register, what have you.
Right.
But even so, you know, while I have my faculty that can think and speak, I'll tell you rather straight and shock you the way I feel,
Right.
you know. And I mean it when I say it. I mean, it's, you know.
But
I'm
don't
not-
you feel
I'm
don't
not
you feel
planning.
good that you were there for her in her final years?
Oh,
and that
yes,
you had
I
that
would.
time with her?
Yes, I would do it again.
You think that your daughters deserve that too?
I didn't think that way, you know. Yes, you do. And, you know, let's say something happens and I would do what I'm saying I will, you know, or would. I would feel good about how you, as my daughter, feel, or Christine would feel about it, you know.
Yeah, because you have to think of the people that it's going
I
to
know,
affect.
but then again,
I know you
think about me too, you know, and then see what makes it, call it a double whammy. Let's say, oh, Michelle said come live with us, or Christine said to come live with us. That's a two-edged sword. Think about it.
Mm-hmm.
How would it change your life?
Mm-hmm.
And where not necessarily you have to cater to me, but where you have to put up with me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and there's a lot of things because I've been called a hermit all my life. You know, there's probably a lot of things which would annoy you, yet you would have, you know, because I'm your father, you would put up with it and things like this.
That's with every family.
Yeah, but I'm just saying.
Every family, yeah.
But since I've been basically on both sides of the fence,
Right.
you know, I haven't given that much thought that way.
Mm-hmm.
The way you just put it to me, yes, you would be entitled to, but that's hopefully I can keep and make sense, you know. But what doesn't help lately is all this crap that's been going on.
Yeah, yeah.
And what really, really bothers me is that I actually had to borrow the money trying to get back. You know. So I'm just saying.
You know that
yeah.
that is nothing. It's nothing. It's a drop in
Now,
the bucket, and
what-
it's gladly done. You know
Now,
that.
see, what the
So-
other thing what I found out, for a while I thought, well, heck, I just sell this place.
Mm-hmm.
I can't even do that.
Yeah.
You know why? Nobody in his right mind, number one, would list it.
Yeah.
Number two, would buy it. Sometimes my, call it explanation, sound irrational, but unfortunately I'm the one with the
Middle of it
shit
all.
up to my nose. You know, so how would you feel if you was, you know, in that situation? How did I get myself into it? I did not try to be as thorough as I can to protect myself, but I got lied to.
Yes. One of the problems that I've seen throughout your life is you are an honorable, trusting
Oh.
person, and you expect the same of other people.
Just to give you a little idea what their old dad is going through at his old age.
Yeah.
Happy retirement, my foot. I'm just happy if I wake up next morning and, you know, I'm able to breathe. Yeah, and I can only blame myself in that too,
Yeah.
for the smoking that I have emphysema of it. You know, so Churchill smoked all his life, for 80 or 90 years.
Yeah.
So some people, you know, but again, it's not to complain, it's just
It
the
is
ugly,
what it is.
It's the ugly truth.
Yeah,
You know,
it is
sometimes
what it is.
we don't even want to hear, you know, ourselves, you know, a truth, or if it's you.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
self-denial is always the easiest. Oh, everybody except me, you know. Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody thinks it's going to be somebody else.
You included.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, cheers to the happy retirement in the near future, hopefully.
Mhm.
That's what we're hoping for.